What if I told you that the greatest discovery in human history isn't buried under the ocean, but hiding in plain sight in the middle of the world's harshest desert? Look at this. 23.5 kilometers. That is the exact diameter of the Richat structure in the Sahara, and it has the exact same measurement Plato used 2,400 years ago to describe the capital of Atlantis. Science calls it a geological fluke, but the data says something far more terrifying. Why has mainstream archaeology ignored the salt deposits found 400 miles away from the nearest ocean? How did an ancient civilization possess a map in 1513 that showed Antarctica without ice? For decades, you've been told Atlantis is a myth, a fairy tale for dreamers. But if it's a myth, why are there thousands of seashells scattered across the hottest desert on Earth? We've been looking in the wrong place, because the truth isn't underwater. It's under the sand. In the next 10 minutes, we are dismantling 2,000 years of history. We're going to analyze the secret freshwater channels discovered beneath the sand, the mysterious red, black, and white stones found at the site, and finally, the forbidden geological evidence that proves a massive flood wiped this site clean, exactly 11,600 years ago. Stick around, because the final piece of evidence, it changes the coordinates of human origin forever.
Welcome back to the Untold Crypt. Look, we don't just tell stories here. We crack open the forbidden vaults of history that the world was meant to forget. If you're hooked on secret history, bone-chilling mysteries, and mind-bending science facts, you're in the right place. Do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button and join the inner circle so you never miss a deep dive into the unknown. Smash that like button if you're ready to dig deep now.
Let's start with the one man who gave us the coordinates, Plato. In his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, he isn't telling a bedtime story. He's relaying a historical account passed down from the Egyptian high priests. He describes the capital city of Atlantis as a series of concentric rings, 2 of land and 3 of water, with a central island. He gives precise measurements. A central island around 5 stades in diameter, the entire city 127 stades across. Convert that to modern units, and you get a diameter of 23.5 kilometers. This isn't a ballpark figure. It's an exact match to the Richat structure. The odds of a natural formation creating perfect, evenly spaced rings at this exact scale are mathematically infinitesimal. Yet, here it is. Plato also describes the geography with uncanny accuracy. He speaks of mountains to the north of the city, protecting it from the cold winds. The Richat structure is shielded to the north by the Kidiat Ej mountain range. He mentions a great plain to the south, stretching towards the sea, with a massive canal connecting the city to the ocean for trade. Today this plain is a desolate wasteland, but satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar reveal clear evidence of ancient water channels and a massive breach in the structure as southern rim, exactly where a canal to a long reddish sea would have meant. The mainstream explanation is a geological dome that collapsed. But domes don't collapse into perfect, concentric circles. There is no evidence of the extreme temperatures or impact pressures needed for such a formation. The rocks aren't melted or shocked. They are simply there, arranged in a pattern that defies conventional geology, but aligns perfectly with Plato's account. They are sedimentary, laid down by water over eons, not violently thrust up from the Earth's mantle. The geological alignment isn't just similar, it's a one-to-one blueprint. Then there's the detail everyone seems to miss. Plato describes the walls of the city being clad in different colored stone: black, white, and red. What do we find at the Richat structure? An abundance of black basalt, white rhyolite, and red iron-rich breccia. The very building blocks of the city are scattered across the desert, dismissed as natural rock deposits. But when you look at them through the lens of Plato's text, They stop being random geology and start looking like architectural debris. It's not just one piece of evidence. It's a dozen data points converging on a single, undeniable location. Now, let's talk about the salt and the sea. How does a location 400 miles from the Atlantic Ocean become covered in marine evidence? The Sahara is littered with whale skeletons, marine microfossils, and thick layers of sea salt. Scientists try to explain this away by saying the desert was once an ancient sea millions of years ago. But that doesn't explain the date of the catastrophe that buried Atlantis. Plato is explicit. The city was destroyed by violent earthquakes and floods in a single day and night, approximately 9,000 years before his time. That puts the event right around 11,600 years ago, the exact timeline of a cataclysmic global event known as the Younger Dryas. This wasn't a slow sea level rise. It was a planetary reset button. Evidence suggests that a comet impact or a series of impacts into the North American ice sheet triggered this event. This flash melted trillions of tons of ice, unleashing a global megatsunami. This wasn't just a big wave. It was a wall of water, potentially thousands of feet high, moving at hundreds of miles per hour. Such a force would have been biblical. It would have surged across the Atlantic, inundating entire continents. It wouldn't just flood North Africa. It would scour it clean. Imagine a 1,000-foot wall of water blasting through the southern canal of Atlantis, ripping the city from its foundations, and turning a lush paradise into a saltwater wasteland in a matter of hours. This event perfectly explains the evidence. It explains the jumbled layers of sediment, the deep scouring marks visible from space that run for hundreds of miles, and the flash-buried marine life so far inland. It explains why a technologically advanced city would simply vanish, leaving behind only its stone footprint and a layer of oceanic debris. The Sahara isn't a desert because of a lack of rain. It's a desert because it was pressure-washed by the Atlantic Ocean. So, who lived there? Mainstream science points to the thousands of artifacts found at the site, primitive stone tools known as Acheulean hand axes. They claim these are proof that only early, unsophisticated humans inhabited the area. They dismiss them as trash left by hunter-gatherers. But look closer. Are these really the crude tools of cavemen? Many of these artifacts exhibit a level of symmetry and precision that is baffling. They are found not just randomly, but concentrated in the outer rings of the structure, exactly where you'd expect the working-class districts and industrial zones of a large city to be. Could these tools be something else entirely? Perhaps components of a larger technology we don't understand, or simply the most durable items to survive a cataclysm that pulverized everything else. To suggest that the people who built a 23.5-kilometer, geometrically perfect city used only hand axes is absurd. It's like finding a modern city destroyed by a nuclear blast, seeing only shattered bricks and twisted steel, and concluding the inhabitants only knew how to make bricks. We are looking at the ruins of a disaster zone. The fine instruments, the advanced technology, the metals, all would have been corroded, destroyed, or washed away by the saline floodwaters over thousands of years. Only the most robust stone artifacts would survive. These aren't proof of a primitive culture. They are the silent survivors of a highly advanced one. They are the trash left behind after the apocalypse. And that brings us to the ultimate proof of a lost, advanced civilization: maps. The Piri-Reis map, compiled in 1513, is a chilling artifact. It shows the coastlines of South America, Africa, and most shockingly, Antarctica. But it doesn't show Antarctica as we know it today, buried under 2 miles of ice. It shows the coastline of the landmass asterisk beneath asterisk, the ice topography we only rediscovered in 1958, using seismic echo-sounding technology. How could a 16th century admiral map a continent that hadn't been ice-free for at least 10,000 years? Piri-Reis himself wrote on the map that he compiled it from much older source maps, some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great, and others from even earlier. This implies the existence of an ancient, seafaring civilization with global knowledge, one that mapped the world before the Younger Dryas, before the ice caps formed over Antarctica. This is the civilization of Plato's Atlantis, a global maritime power that existed long before our accepted timeline of history. Their knowledge was passed down in fragments, copied by generations who no longer understood the science behind it, until all we are left with is an impossible map. But here is the twist that no one is talking about. Scientists recently found that the Eye of Sahara isn't just a structure. It's a magnetic anomaly. The ground there is literally different at a molecular level. It disrupts compasses and sensors. High-resolution magnetic surveys reveal a powerful, anomalous signature emanating from the center of the rings. This isn't a natural geological feature. It suggests the presence of something artificial, something technological, buried deep beneath the surface. It wasn't just a city. It was a massive technological hub using Earth's natural frequency. And the flood? It wasn't an accident. It was a reset. Thanks for watching. If you were fascinated by this journey into the past, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. See you next time.